Forget what you've been told, that type 2 diabetes is a life sentence you just manage with more and more pills. For a huge number of people, it isn't. It can be turned around, blood sugar back to normal, often off the medication entirely, and a specific handful of everyday foods are the thing keeping it locked in place. That's what today is about. The foods to pull off your plate, and why doing it can do more than any of us were ever told was possible. Now let me be clear right up front because this matters. I'm talking about type 2 diabetes, not type 1. Type 1 is a completely different condition, and nothing here changes that. But type 2 is the diet-driven kind. It's what about 9 out of every 10 people with diabetes actually have, and what gets driven by diet can very often be turned around by diet. And I don't mean that as some feel-good wishful thinking. There is real serious research behind this, we'll get into the specifics, where ordinary people did exactly this. And their type 2 diabetes went into full remission, off the medication, blood sugar back in the normal range, confirmed by their doctors. So here's how we're going to do this today. First, I'll show you what's actually happening inside your body with type 2, because once you understand the real mechanism, this whole food list is going to make complete sense. Then I'll walk you through the specific foods doing the most damage, and I'll warn you now, a couple on this list are going to surprise you. They've got a healthy reputation they flat out don't deserve. And at the end, I'll show you exactly where to start. Plus, the one thing you absolutely must do with your doctor before you change anything. Because as this starts working, it changes what your body needs. And that part matters more than people realize. And look, if you've been living with this for years, watching the numbers creep up, adding another pill, then another, feeling like you're slowly losing a battle no matter what you do, I want you to really hear this. It is not as fixed as you've been led to believe. There is real room to move here, a lot more than most people are ever told. So let's start with what's actually happening inside your body, because that's the key that unlocks this entire food list. And honestly, it's simpler than you'd think. Let's clear up the single biggest misunderstanding about type 2 diabetes. Most people think it's a sugar problem. It's not, really, at its heart. It's a space problem. Think of insulin as a key. Every time you eat, your blood sugar rises. And insulin is the key that unlocks your cells so that sugar can get out of your blood and in where it belongs, to be burned for energy. In type 2 diabetes, that key stops working. The lock is jammed. The sugar can't get into the cells, so it backs up in your bloodstream. And that's the high blood sugar your doctor keeps measuring. But here's what almost nobody explains. Why does the lock jam in the first place? Fat. Specifically, fat building up where it was never meant to be, inside your liver and inside your pancreas. Those are the two organs that run your entire blood sugar system, and when they get clogged and sluggish with fat, the whole system seizes up. That's the real engine of type 2 diabetes for most people. Not the sugar in your blood, the fat in your organs. And now the food list starts to make sense, because the foods we're about to talk about, the sodas, the juices, the ultra-processed stuff, these are the foods that drive fat straight into your liver. They flood your system with more sugar than it can handle, faster than it can deal with it. Your liver, overwhelmed, packs the excess away as fat, right where it does the most harm. So every one of those foods isn't just a little sugar. It's fuel poured on the exact fire that's jamming your system. Now stay with me, because this next part is the good news. The genuinely good news. If fat in the liver and pancreas is what jams the system, then clearing that fat back out can unjam it. The system can reboot, and we have the research to prove it. There was a major trial published in The Lancet, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. They took people with type 2 diabetes, helped them change what they ate, and helped them lose the weight. 1 year later, 46% of them, nearly half, were in full remission. No diabetes, off their medication, blood sugar back to normal. And it got more striking the more weight people lost. Among those who lost the most, 86% reached remission, almost 9 out of 10. Read that again. 9 out of 10 of the people who went all the way turned it around. Now I want to be straight with you about two things, because they matter. One, this works best earlier rather than later. The longer your pancreas has been struggling, the harder it gets. So if you're newer to this, the odds are very much on your side. And even if you've had it a while, real improvement is almost always still on the table. 2. And this one is important. In that study, people came off their medication under their doctor's supervision, not on their own. Because as your blood sugar comes down, your medication has to come down with it, or you can end up with blood sugar that drops too low, and that's its own kind of dangerous. So this is something you do with your doctor in your corner. We'll come back to that at the end. But the foods come first, because the foods are the engine of all of it. So let's start with the single most damaging one on the whole list, the one most likely to be sitting in your fridge right now. It's liquid sugar, sugary drinks, and if you take just one thing away from this entire video, make it this one. Number 1, soda and sweet drinks. Regular soda, sweet tea, sports drinks, energy drinks, those big sweetened coffees. Here's why these sit at the very top of the danger list. Remember how your liver gets overwhelmed when sugar arrives too fast. Nothing delivers sugar faster than a drink. There's no chewing to slow it down, no fiber to buffer it. It hits your bloodstream and your liver like a tidal wave, all at once. And the research here is not subtle. One large analysis found that just one sugary drink a day was tied to a 27% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. One a day. And if you're having 2 or 3, you're stacking that risk higher every single time. So what does that mean for you, in plain terms? If you're managing type 2 right now and there's a daily soda or sweet tea in the picture, that one habit may be doing more damage than everything else on this list put together. And the good news? It's also the single highest payoff change you can make. We'll get to the swap. It's easier than you'd think. Number 2, fruit juice. Now this is the one that's going to upset some people because it's been wearing a health halo for decades. Fruit juice, orange juice, apple juice. Yes, even the 100% natural, no sugar added kind. Here's the hard truth. To your liver, a glass of orange juice and a glass of soda look almost identical. Both are a flood of fast sugar with the fiber stripped clean out. And the fiber, the part of the fruit that slows everything down, is exactly what's missing from the juice. This is the healthy reputation I warned you about at the start. A whole orange? Wonderful. Eat the orange, but the juice of 4 or 5 oranges with the fiber thrown in the trash, swallowed in 30 seconds. That's a sugar bomb your liver has to deal with every single morning, and the people drinking it believe they're doing something good for themselves. That's what makes it so quietly harmful. Now I want to slow down here because this is the part that matters most. Picture that daily glass of juice, or the soda with lunch. On its own, one drink seems harmless, but it's never one drink. It's one drink every day for years, 1,000 quiet sugar floods your liver has to keep mopping up. And I want to be honest with you about where that road leads if nothing changes. Because uncontrolled blood sugar doesn't stay quiet forever. Over time, it goes after the smallest blood vessels you've got, the ones in your eyes, your kidneys, and the nerves running down to your feet. And that's not some abstract medical fact. That's the slow loss of the things that make your life your own. The fine print of a recipe getting harder to read, not quite feeling the floor under your own feet, losing the confidence to drive yourself to see the people you love. I've heard from people who told me they'd had that same morning juice every day for 30 years and never once thought of it as part of the problem. Nobody had ever told them. It was just breakfast. But here's what I need you to hold on to. None of that is carved in stone. Everything we just talked about, the small vessels, the nerves, the eyes, they respond when you take the pressure off, when you pull the liquid sugar out and let your system finally start to heal. That's the whole reason I'm making this, not to frighten you, to reach you before that road goes any further. So that's liquid sugar, the fastest acting danger on the list. Next, we get into the foods that do it slower, but just as surely. The ones hiding in plain sight in almost every kitchen. Number 3, ultra-processed foods. This is a big one, and a sneaky one, because it isn't a single food. It's a whole category. The packaged snacks, the frozen dinners, the crackers, the chips, the boxed mixes. The simplest way to spot them. Flip the package over, and if the ingredient list is long and full of words you'd never find in anybody's kitchen, that's ultra-processed. These foods are engineered to be eaten fast in large amounts, without ever quite feeling full. The fiber's been stripped out, so the sugar and starch hit your system nearly as fast as that soda we talked about. And the research is clear and consistent. In a study that followed around 200,000 people, every time ultra-processed food made up another 10% of the diet, the risk of type 2 diabetes climbed about 12%. It stacks. The more of your plate that comes out of a package, the steeper that climb gets. So what does that mean at the dinner table? The more of your food that comes from the ground, the sea, or the butcher, and the less that comes from a factory, the more you're working with your body instead of against it. Number 4. Processed meats. Now, this is not all meat. I want to be precise here because it matters. A piece of chicken or fish is not the problem. I'm talking about the processed stuff: bacon, deli and lunch meats, hot dogs, sausages, salami. It's the curing, the preserving, the additives packed into them that do the harm. In that same body of research, eating processed meats regularly was tied to roughly a 34% higher risk of type 2 diabetes, a third higher, from the sandwich meat most people eat without a second thought. So if lunch is built on deli slices most days, that's worth a hard look. Real chicken, real fish, eggs, beans, those don't carry the same penalty. Number 5. Refined white starches. This one surprises people because it doesn't taste sweet, but your body genuinely can't tell the difference. White bread, white rice, most boxed cereals, crackers, pastries, the soft white dinner roll. Here's the part that catches people off guard. Your body breaks these down into pure sugar almost the moment they hit your mouth. A slice of white bread. To your bloodstream? Practically a spoonful of sugar. The refining process strips out the fiber and leaves behind the part that turns to sugar fastest. So that same liver flood we keep coming back to, white starches cause it too, just through a different door. And the fix isn't going without. It's going whole. Whole grain instead of white. Brown rice or beans instead of white rice. Real oats instead of the sugary cereal. Same meal. A completely different effect on your body. And I want to say this part clearly because I don't want anyone walking away discouraged. This is not about being perfect. Nobody turns their diabetes around by never enjoying a meal again. It's about what you do most days, most of the time. Pull the worst offenders out of the daily rotation, and you've already done the lion's share of the work. So that's the list. Liquid sugar, ultra-processed foods, processed meats, and refined white starches. The foods quietly keeping the whole thing locked in place. Now let me show you exactly where to start, and the one conversation you need to have before you change a single thing. So let's make this doable, because a list of foods to avoid is useless if it feels like climbing a mountain. And this isn't a mountain. It's a few steps taken in the right order. Step 1, and this is where everyone should begin. Go after the liquid sugar, the soda, the sweet tea, the juice. This is the highest payoff change there is, and it's the simplest one to make. You're barely giving anything up, really. You're just swapping. Water. Sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon. Unsweetened tea or coffee. And when you want something sweet, eat the whole fruit instead of drinking it. The fiber comes along for the ride and changes everything. Do just that one thing. Pour the soda and the juice out of your daily life, and you've already moved the needle further than most people manage in a year. Step 2. Once that feels normal, go from white to whole. Whole grain bread instead of white. Brown rice or beans instead of white rice. Oats instead of the boxed cereal. You're not eating less. You're eating the version your body can actually handle. And step 3, crowd out the rest. Don't think about banning the ultra-processed foods and the deli meats. Think about crowding them out. The more real food you put on your plate, vegetables, fish, eggs, beans, fruit, the less room there is for the stuff that's been working against you. One step at a time. You do not have to do all 3 this week. And here's the encouraging part, the fast part I promised you. Your blood sugar starts responding quickly. We are not talking years. People who pull out the liquid sugar often see their numbers start moving within days to weeks. Your body is not your enemy here. The moment you stop pouring fuel on the fire, it starts trying to heal. Now, the one conversation you have to have first, before you make a real change, talk to your doctor. And here's exactly why. As your blood sugar starts to fall, And it will. Your medication can suddenly be too strong for you. The dose that was right last month can push your blood sugar too low this month, and low blood sugar carries its own danger. So this isn't about asking permission. It's about safety and timing. Tell your doctor what you're doing. Ask them to watch your numbers alongside you and to bring your medication down as your body needs less of it. Needing less medicine is a wonderful problem to have, but it has to be managed by someone keeping an eye on you, so please don't stop or change anything on your own. That one conversation turns this from a gamble into a plan. So let's pull it all together. Type 2 diabetes, for most people, comes down to fat clogging the liver and the pancreas and jamming the whole system. 5 foods drive that fat in faster than anything else: liquid sugar, ultra-processed foods, processed meats, and refined white starches. Pull them out, and the fat starts to clear. The system starts to reboot. That's not a hopeful theory. That's what nearly half the people in that Lancet trial actually did, walk their type 2 diabetes all the way back to normal. And the ones who went furthest? 9 in 10 of them. So I'll leave you with this. If you've spent years being told this was a one-way street, that the best you could hope for was to slow it down, I hope today landed a little differently, because for a great many people, it was never the life sentence they were handed. There is real room to move here. And the very first move is sitting in your fridge right now. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to do it all today. Pour out the soda. Pour out the juice. Fill that glass with water. Start there, today, with that one glass. And let your body start to show you what it can still do. If this gave you a little hope, or just a place to begin, subscribe. This is exactly the kind of thing I'm here to help you with. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.